this afternoon.
Welcome.
Help us out.
You all right with me standing here? No,
Yes.
I don't want to block that.
Shannon, you might as well come on up. You're going to be talking here pretty soon.
Gotcha. All right, in case I get my text.
Yeah, we don't want your phone going off during this.
Right.
All right, folks, thank you very much for joining us here this afternoon. I am being joined by Shannon Harner, who is the Executive Director of the Nebraska Finance and Investment Authority. And we're going to be talking about one of the programs that was created during, in the ARPA bill from last March to be able to help out homeowners. Now, home ownership is incredibly important here in the state of Nebraska. We know that if we want people to take the jobs that we have here in the state, we've got to have some place where they want to be able to live. It's part of the quality of life in our state. And one of the ways that we've addressed this in the past, working together with the legislature, is, for example, in 2017, we passed the Rural Workforce Housing Act that dedicated $7 million in it through a grant program to be able to allow communities to work together with developers to be able to build multifamily housing, single-family housing, and so forth. And that program has been very effectively utilized around the state. I've been to a number of ribbon cuttings that really highlighted how that program is being used, and really being used in a way that allows communities to create like a revolving fund to be able to help developers create this housing. In fact, it was so successful, in 2020 we added another $10 million to the rural workforce housing, and then we also created the workforce, the middle income workforce housing program as well, and added $9.8 million to that. And then there's a program I believe that NIFE has been running going back to 1996 that also helps us be able to establish the funding to be able to create that housing stock around the state of Nebraska. So this is something we've been developing for a long time here in the state. Then of course, one of the things we saw during the pandemic is that, again, with all the impacts to businesses and communities and so forth, the federal government created through the ARPA program an ability for homeowner housing assistance. And that's what we're creating right here, this Housing Assistance Fund at the state of Nebraska. So it'll be the Nebraska Housing Assistance Fund to be able to homeowners be able to manage the impacts of the pandemic. So for example, this will allow them to help pay their mortgage or pay their property tax bills or pay utilities or phone or so forth. So that's the program we're announcing today. Every state got a minimum of $50 million, which we got as well, and had to create a plan on how they would distribute that money to assist homeowners. That's what NIFA has been doing. So NIFA has taken the lead on this to be able to create the program, this Nebraska Housing Assistance Fund, and submitted their plan to the federal government. We submitted it November 1st, is that correct?
Yes.
Submitted the plan November 1st. We just got approved last month for our plan here, and so today we're announcing the details of that plan. So again, what we're announcing today is the creation of the Nebraska Housing Assistance Fund that homeowners who are impacted by COVID can apply to get help paying their mortgage, paying their property tax bills, paying for their utilities. You can access that through NebraskaHAF.com. Let me say that again, NebraskaHAF.com, for folks to be able to go online, be able to access that program. Now, we're going to be able to print the materials from NIFA in a variety of different languages to help people out, not only English, but Spanish, Russian, and there's one more that you're doing too. I'm dropping right off the top of my head.
I think it's Somali.
Somali. So it'd be a number of different languages, and then of course if you need interpreting services, or if you've got disabilities, you can also access it through there's a phone number that you can access it through, which is 844-565-7146. So again, 844-565-7146. You can also access with that, and then NIFA will make accommodations for folks who aren't able to use the internet or the website to be able to apply for that program. So again, this is an important program to be able to help out our homeowners here with mortgage assistance, property tax, and utilities. And now I'm going to go ahead and turn it all over to Shannon Harner, who's going to be able to give us a little bit more information about the details of the program. Oh, by the way, that phone number open 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Central Time on weekdays. So with that, Shannon, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Governor. So we are pleased to launch this really important program to assist eligible Nebraska households in staying in their homes as they recover from the financial impacts of the pandemic and continue their home ownership journey. The Nebraska Homeowner Assistance Fund was established for the purpose of preventing homeowner mortgage delinquencies, defaults, foreclosures, and displacement. NYFA, the Nebraska Investment Finance Authority, is the state of Nebraska's housing finance agency, and that is why we are partnering with the state to ensure the success of the Nebraska Homeowner Assistance Fund. The Homeowner Assistance Fund plan was developed, as the governor noted, in a public process, beginning in July of 2021 with focus group meetings, a public hearing, a webinar, and input was also gathered through an online survey. The plan was developed using this input: mortgage delinquency information, property tax delinquency information, and other significant data. The plan was submitted to Treasury on November 1st and approved in mid-January, after which our team has been working with our partners to ensure our readiness to launch with a full set of call center folk available. It's NYFA's commitment to quickly communicate the availability and guidelines of the program to those people who are most in need in order to keep Nebraska's homeowners safely housed and address the lingering effects of the pandemic. As the governor noted, we have $50 million that was allocated to the state of Nebraska to help homeowners, and our program will provide assistance for past due mortgage payments, past due real estate taxes, homeowners or flood insurance, and homeowners association dues. In addition, the Nebraska program, which we're calling NHAF, may assist with resolving property title issues to ensure a homeowner has marketable title to their property. The program cannot be used for utility payments, but help will still be available for homeowners who need that type of assistance through the Department of Health and Human Services Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program, also known as LIHEAP. NHAF is partnering with the Nebraska Housing Developers Association, housing counselors, and Legal Aid of Nebraska to work with applicants as appropriate. There's a $30,000 aid limit per household. This program will run until the earlier of the spend down of all of the funds, or September 30th, 2025, which is the program's termination date. To apply, go to nebraskahalf.com and please have available the following pieces of information: a valid photo ID, your mortgage loan statement if you're applying for mortgage assistance, obviously a property tax statement or your insurance statements if that is the type of assistance you're applying for, a verification that the property is your primary residence, and this can be shown through things such as a utility bill or a phone bill, an income verification document such as a W-9, a W-2, a tax return, or other documents to satisfy HAF requirements. When an application for assistance is ultimately approved, payment will be made directly to the vendor, whether that vendor is your mortgage lender or servicer, a county treasurer, an insurance company, or the homeowner or condominium association. The income of a homeowner and the borrower and the spouse who reside in the home must be equal or less than 100% of area median income for their county of residence in the county which they're eligible for assistance. So during the application process, required documents can be uploaded directly and conveniently to the portal at nebraskahalf.com. It's mobile friendly, so we'll make it easy of a process as possible, even if you don't have a home computer. Also, our call center will assist in application intake for people who don't have a mobile phone, don't have a computer, or just need a little bit of additional assistance in getting their application put together. NYFA's website, which is nyfa.org, and we will have YouTube channels and additional information about the program. Some tutorials running through how to make the application will be forthcoming. NYFA will also partner with community organizations to ensure as many impacted homeowners as possible are aware of this assistance program. We have partners throughout the state that we work with on a regular basis, and we will continue to have webinars, and also MSpace is our vendor who will be helping us get the word out on social media with digital ads and in other venues. We have quite a robust plan that we'll be launching. So as noted, the call center is available Monday through Fridays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And once again, that number is 844-565-7146. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions that anyone has about the program. Aaron.
Shannon, can I make sure I
it is, the stop date is September 30th, 2025, if we haven't run out of funds prior to that time.
Okay. And how much of the funds is set aside for it?
So $50 million is what we have. There's an up to percentage of 15% for administrative fees, 5% for housing counselors and legal assistance, and then the rest of it is put into the buckets of aid. Let me see, I have the plan in front of me. And those are for reinstatement, and we put, I believe, $30 million into the reinstatement program. Sorry, trying to flip to it here. Yes, then mortgage payment assistance for forward payments, we have $6.1 million in the plan. For property assistance, and this is for those persons who maybe don't have a mortgage, their house is fully paid, but they're having trouble making their property tax payments. Typically, we would think that this is more of our senior population who has had their mortgage paid off. We have $4.9 million in that category. And then housing counselors and legal services, $1.7 million in that category. Yes, Martha?
So, is that, are you saying that those are the only amounts of money that are available for those particular purposes? So that if you have more than 4.9 million of people who, of delinquent property taxes that people need help with, that it's too bad, even if you've got money in a different pool?
The way the plan is structured right now, that
You
is.
might want to repeat the question.
Okay, I'm sorry. So the question was, in the event that we had, for instance, more than 4.9 million of need in the property tax assistance, but we have additional funds in one of the other buckets, is that a hard stop for that property tax assistance? And the answer is, the way the Treasury plan is structured, yes, right now. We could, if we're looking at how things are being spent and we see that we over allocated in one program and under allocated in another, we can go back to Treasury and request a change, request an amendment to the plan. The reason that we put the majority of the funds into the reinstatement program is looking at the delinquency data. It was pretty clear that there are significant delinquencies, and that's where most of the need was. And in point of fact, the mortgage delinquency pot for people who have mortgages will cover their property taxes because that's included in their mortgage payment.
The data you looked at, could you talk a little bit about how much distress you're seeing in the market?
Yeah, so Nebraska, as with in most cases, our number of delinquencies is less than other states' delinquencies, but it's still higher than it normally would be during the course of a year. We utilize Black Knight, which has significant data about mortgages. They believe they have about 75% of the secondary market data available to us. We did an extrapolation based off of their data to determine what we thought the need would be. And based on that information, it looks like we had about 18,083 loans, 84 loans that were delinquent at the time that we did the plan, which would have been, November. So that could have increased, it could have decreased by this time, but that was that number. And that delinquent amount looks like it was 108 billion. 108 billion of the total loan value, not just the installments that were back. B as in boy, yes.
But that's the loan value, not how much they were behind.
That's the loan value, not how much they were behind. And it looks like the unpaid balance of the 75%, so I don't have that extrapolated number, so you can add 25% to this, would have been 77 million. And that's why we only have 50 million. Now, obviously not all of those people will qualify for the program because you have to have an area median income of 100 or less, but based on that number, that's why we put the majority of the funding into the reinstatement program.
And how much of it?
I was gonna ask, does this program cover homeowners across the state or only in selected counties?
Unlike the ERA program, which was divvied up into jurisdictions, this is a statewide program.
Okay, so it includes Lincoln and Omaha?
It includes every place in Nebraska. There are some tribal communities that did also request and will receive or have received funds, so that's an additional source for some Native people.
So to make sure I understood though, the earlier part of the qualifications, 100% of the median income in a county?
Yes,
Okay.
Why don't you give the examples for Douglas and Lancaster County?
sure.
How would you know what that is?
Well,
We've got a chart.
yeah, so I have a chart. So for instance, for a family of 4 in Douglas County,
79,900.
it's 87.8.
Oh, in Douglas?
Yep.
Oh, I was looking at the wrong one.
That's for, well, that, but it
That's-
is,
oh,
it's
it's-
79.9 for a 3-person family,
Okay.
but 87.8 for a 4-person family. In Lancaster County, for instance, a 4-person family would be 82.5 is the 100% area median income. For a 1-person family, that'd be 79.9. If you look, so 79.9 is actually the 100% area median income for a 1-person throughout this program. So if you are a 1-person household and you make more than 79.9, you're not gonna be eligible as 100% area median income. But other than that, it varies a bit by county. It goes up to an 8-person household. And so for instance, an 8-person household in Douglas County would be 115.9.
And what sorts of ways are they supposed to, what does the program require them to prove in terms of COVID impact?
So, similar to other programs, the COVID impact can be shown by a reduction in income, an increase in expenses, whether those are medical expenses or just an overall increase due to the inflationary, COVID supply chain issues. Those are the main things, and obviously an unemployment would show a COVID impact.
With the rental assistance program, the state had difficulty getting money out, except for the urban areas. What makes you think that you'll have better luck with this one?
This program is, well, and I guess what I would start off by saying is I don't know that the state program had particular trouble getting money out. I think the state program was initially allocated 79% of the overall funds, and it only had 42% of the renters. I may be wrong, that may be 48%. 48% of the renters. So there was a little bit of a mismatch in funding, and there has been a reallocation from that standpoint. But to answer your question, we've had people calling and putting themselves on the list for us to contact them. Now, one of the other reasons I think that the home ownership funds are going to be sent out in a fairly fast manner is that it's working with national servicers, and the national servicers are all very aware of this program, and they've turned in their information to us. They're working with these programs in all of the other states if you're a national servicer. So there's a lot more communication. Those national servicers, we're working with them to be able to send, we have an NHAF media kit for them to send information to their borrowers who are behind to encourage them to apply for the program.
You want to just talk about other ways you're going to communicate?
Absolutely. So we've got a very robust campaign set forth. There'll be social media, there'll be digital, there'll be website, there will be PSAs, there'll be radio, there'll be print media, and then also just the things that NYFA does on a regular basis. We coordinate with partners across the state who help homeowners, and so we will be working with all of those organizations to make sure that they're aware, to make sure they've got resources. We're working with housing counseling organizations as well across the state. So it'll be a very concerted and long-term effort to just make sure that people are aware of this resource for them to apply for.
Governor, can you talk a little bit about the value to communities of keeping people in their homes?
Yeah, absolutely. So Aaron asked the question about the value of keeping people in their homes to different communities. And it gets back to what we were talking about before, as we look at our state and we've got a nation lowest historical low of 1.7% unemployment rate. We know that communities are gonna be looking to keep people there to take the jobs that they've got available. And by making sure we keep people in their homes, that's one of the ways that communities will be able to be stable. We know that homeownership is a dream, a goal for many Americans. And while the pandemic has certainly impacted that, based on the data that Shannon and her team have developed, we know that those people would like to stay in their homes. And so that's what this program is. I think it's great for communities, it's great for the individuals who are gonna benefit, and it's gonna make our state stronger to be able to continue to grow. I'm sorry. Other questions on this topic? All right, thank you very much, Shannon, I appreciate it. Do you want to take your book with you?
I will take my book with me.
Thanks so much for all your work on this, and
Thank
you and your team.
Lisa, when will it start? Is it up now?
It is live now.
All right, so yes, the phone lines went live 5 minutes ago, so. All right, so questions on other topics? Martha?
Can you talk about the rental assistance program and why, you did not go for the additional money, and whether there's a chance of changing that decision?
So Martha's asking a question about the Emergency Rental Assistance Program and why we didn't ask for the ERAP program number 2. And we don't have the data to justify that we ought to be applying for the second round. So if you want to use the analogy of a disaster, so when we have a tornado, we have a flood, we ask for disaster assistance. But if we don't have a tornado or a flood, we don't ask for it. And right now, if you're looking at Nebraska, we have the nation's lowest unemployment rate in the country's history. We just don't see that we've got the justification for this. We're not trying to create a welfare state here. We want to ask for assistance when we need it. That's the Nebraska way.
And there's not people who could use this assistance especially in Omaha and Lancaster County?
So Martha's asking, well, what about Omaha and Lancaster County? And that's a great point. In fact, Shannon talked about it a little bit. And initially, again, this program was probably not that well designed, just in general, because initially of the $200 million that came to Nebraska, 58 million came to the state, and as Shannon pointed out, we only had 48% of the renters, whereas Omaha and Lincoln had 52% of the renters. So we've reallocated about $85 million to Omaha and Lincoln, about $50 million went to Omaha, about $30 million went to Lincoln, $3.4 million went to Douglas County, $1.4 million went to Lancaster County. And so we've adjusted that allocation to more of our urban areas where we have more of the renters. The state still has $44 million left to be able to serve people, but if you look at this program, it's been in place now for almost a year, and we haven't even used, of the money remaining, half of that yet. We've got, we believe that we've got the dollars left at the state level to continue to be able to help people through the end of the year. So the question is, Martha, is there a need to reallocate more? And certainly we'll continue to reevaluate the program as we go forward. If we continue not to see the demand at the state and we need to reallocate, then we'll certainly consider that.
One more question?
All right, yep, Ariana, did you have one? No, you're good. Okay, your thumb's up. Okay, great. All right, seeing none, thank you all again very much. Shannon, thank you very much for you and your team's work on getting our mortgage program, or the Housing Assistance Fund, up and running. We really appreciate that. I know there's going to be a lot of homeowners that are looking forward to being able to take advantage of it for all the reasons you just mentioned. Thank you all very much. Have a great afternoon and a great rest of your week. Thank you, Shannon. Sorry, Sharon?
Sharon,
Yeah. Sharon, we had a Sharon, we had a Shannon.
What are the else?
Yeah. Thanks.